This is Paul Henry.
The government has set a new target for an 11% reduction of greenhouse gas emissions by 1990 levels, that by 2030. So 11% reduction on the amount we were using producing in 1990 by 2030. All countries are expected to set new targets before climate change talks in Paris at the end of the year. This is the next round of climate change talks. Opposition parties say the target doesn't go anywhere near far enough. With me now is Green Party co-leader and climate change spokesperson James Shaw. James, morning to you.
Good morning, Paul. How are you?
Very good, thanks. All right, so here's the thing. On one side of the ledger, you can have a target which is achievable, and yet people will criticise it because it doesn't seem bold. On the other side of the ledger, you could have a target which seems very, very bold and is unachievable, and you'll be criticised for not meeting it. The government have clearly gone for the former. What do you think they should have done?
Well, we think that there is a happy medium, which is a target that is both bold and as well as being achievable, and that is about 40%.
A 40% reduction on 1990 levels?
Yeah, that's correct. So there are a number of other industrialised countries that are going for 40% or plus. We've actually seen around the world that that's actually highly achievable. There have been a number of places that have already cut their emissions by a substantial amount. And New Zealand, frankly, isn't doing its fair share.
But we're a special case, aren't we? We're a special case. We rely heavily on export, and we export food to the world. The world eats what we produce, which is why the largest single thing we emit is methane.
Well, that's correct, Paul, but other countries also produce food, lots of it, and in fact we supply only a tiny portion of the global food chain. So every country tends to say that it's unique in terms of its emissions profile.
Okay, but if we're fair, just to be fair on this, these figures are per capita figures, and we have a very small population, and we have a huge number of animals which are contributing to these greenhouse gases. So while you can say we only supply a small amount of the food, per capita we supply a great deal.
That's correct, but if you take, for example, the city of Los Angeles, I know there's a lot less animals in the city of Los Angeles, but the city of Los Angeles has about 4.5 million people in it. And if we're to say, well, we're only going to cut our emissions by 11%, then you could say that Los Angeles also only needs to cut its emissions by 11%. And if every population group of 4.5 million did that, then we wouldn't be anywhere near where we need to be.
But it's only, at the end of the day, though, James, this is just words anyway, isn't it? I mean, who on earth is going to achieve 40% cuts on 1990 levels?
Well, actually, it's already been done in a number of places. I think Copenhagen has actually reduced its emissions by 36% over 1990 levels already. So it is entirely achievable. And actually, Paul, I actually believe that we can do it without harming our agricultural exports a great deal. So we've been doing a lot of research over the course of the last year that shows that you can get a 40% target. You can achieve that without necessarily having to do a great deal in the agricultural space.
How?
Basically, it comes down to massive tree planting. So what you're looking for is a net emissions decrease, and you can do that by planting a great deal of trees.
Well, can we plant enough trees to have a 40% reduction without the invention? Because what we're relying on, of course, to achieve the 11%, what we're relying on is technological advancements.
Well, it's a mix of things. So there's tree planting, there's technological advancements. We're only at 80% renewable in terms of the energy sector. We could be producing, 100% renewable in our energy sector. We could, be reducing our transport emissions a great deal by moving our vehicle fleet towards electrics. So it's actually, a 40% target. It's tough, right? But it would be an amazing feat. But actually, we think it's eminently doable.
So why haven't the government gone higher than 11%? Presumably because they don't think it's eminently doable.
Well, I don't think that they think it's eminently doable, and frankly, I'm not sure that they conceive of this as much of a problem as the rest of the world does. I mean, if you look at it, in terms of the 25 countries that have put their targets in so far, only Russia, the Ukraine, South Africa and South Korea are doing worse than us. And if every country in the world did what we did, then we'd be on target for 5 or 6 degree temperature rise.
Yeah, but we are in a unique situation, aren't we? In that we do have a very small number of people and a very large number of animals that we use to feed the world. I mean, I'm coming back to my original point, and you can quote other countries, you can quote the city of Los Angeles, but how much bloody food for the world comes out of Los Angeles?
Well, a lot of, they produce a lot of emissions there, and most of it is around transport for sure, and electricity production. But there are plenty of other countries in the world that also produce meat and dairy for the rest of the world.
Okay, well, James, you've got a job on to keep people honest, haven't you? And it's a pleasure talking to you about it, because obviously there are two sides to everything. Thanks very much. That's James Shaw, Green Party co-leader, climate change spokesperson. News is next.